Hello, Rupert Murdoch and Ted Turner and Carl Cameron and all these that girl from the five. I'm watching Fox News right now, but I've learned to watch it with a trained eye, not something that I would have normal people do. Well, anyway, this is 2012, an oral story. And I've been watching even the CNBC, all these channels that I can get that show a little bit about these primaries and this Republican contest. Well, the Republican contest always makes me, so happy. I love watching the states show up on the board. But 2008, when I was in 11th grade, I learned that the media wasn't actually who I suspected they were. And our nice republic that they train us about in school, where every um, second year you can replace one third of your congressman, and then every second year you can replace your senators. Two senators, so many, one for every 30,000 people represent you in Congress. Oh, that sounds pretty neat. But no, you have to go through the party system. You have to get Republican, Democrat. So you're already paid for by your way out of there. So 2008, I was so happy for this contest because I saw this guy, Ron Paul, in the debate, and he was next to Mr. Rudy Giuliani, who I knew from name recognition. And Giuliani was talking about the enemies of America out there. And this was the beginning of a great education from Dr. Ron Paul. Um, Giuliani was saying they're crazy, they're nuts, they're psycho people over there. And that's something I would always roll my eyes and shake my head. Well, that's the education system here in America. And Dr. Ron Paul said, no, there's reasons for why they attack us. They don't attack us because we're American and wonderful and we have freedoms. And like everybody in the audience turned against him. This was in 2008, and all the candidates on the stage looked at him like he was from Mars. But finally, someone said something that actually made some kind of sense. And, well, how wonderful it was. So I started to study him, and he had his little sayings, his idiosyncrasies, 130 countries, 900 bases, and everybody's, okay, okay, okay. But I liked what he said about the war, and especially the propaganda associated with Vietnam War, Iraq War, and then again now they're using that the bomb of the Iranian people to keep them down. And here's the deal, though. I really do think, despite the media propaganda and whatnot, the Iranian people are probably just as crazy as they say they are. But it comes down to a whys and hows. And some people don't look into history. Now, Ron Paul looked into history here about Iran, and he goes back to the 1950s, where a person took charge in Iran who would not displace the oil. So the United States and Britain got together and said, we need all this oil. So the United States overthrew who they had in charge, and then a dictator took power. And that's what made the Iranian people hate Americans. So that doesn't do anything to the crazy people who've put to their mindset, aha, we must destroy America and all this. But it does get us to the root of the idea. And it's even in the Bible there, especially the divide between the Christian type people and the the Muslims, um, Ishmael and Isaac, the one from the slave woman. But Yahweh says that I will make the slave woman into a great nation. The Muslims, but they still seem to not get each other. So, but then the wisdom of Ron Paul extended even further when I watched this video of Ron Paul's Silver and Gold, and very much right now, one thing when I started talking about the planets, people get off with me. But the astrology at the time, every 84 years, Uranus enters Aries. The last time it did that was the time of the stock market crash of 1929, and the time before that it was time of the revolutions of 1848 and the 1849, the 49ers, the gold rush. Everybody head towards your manifest destiny. And the time before that, it was the years leading up to the 70s. 1776 was when um, independent declaration was made. So this was during the time of the American people sort of throwing off. So that gives us a view of like where Ron Paul is in history, and especially these undercurrents that have been going on. And people get a hold of this Uranus in Aries energy, and that they take it to whatever they thought is good. Like, okay, this is my Mitt Romney time. Finally, we're gonna overcome the Obama people, and they use that energy. But this is deep energy. This goes back to Ron Paul saying, you know what the problem is with this country is the debasement of the currency itself. See, usually the stuff that sounds boring is the stuff that nobody really investigates. So this goes back to the year 1909, and the president uh, goes to this man named J.P. Morgan, and a very rich, tycoonish person. You know, Pluto and Neptune made a conjunction, one that they make every 493 years, representing the transforming into new ideologies in 1891. So if we put that there on the timeline of history, we see this industrial revolution of pulling out this, putting houses right on top of each other, and the Wall Street and the stock market. And if you look at it from a map from above, from each year, you see the same way the housing grows on the empty land. It looks identical to a normal cell to one that has cancer. It looks like a cancer growing over time. So we're definitely now at this point where Pluto and Uranus are at this point where they're square each other in the sky. They're exactly a right angle, 90 degrees apart. Now, if we go back to the time when Uranus and Pluto were conjunct, we get to the time of the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and the hippie kind of people were born. But also as the United States was going off of the gold standard as backing the currency money. So, you know, Ron Paul goes off on his things, and first of all, he's a very, very brilliant man. He's about the ideas and not about fighting people just because we don't like their ideas or something like that. So what it was is off the coast of I think Massachusetts or Connecticut in 1909, there were these rich bankers who didn't want competition in their lifetime. They wanted to seal it for their families that they were the ones who got control of the money, the printing of the money. So they came up with the Federal Reserve Act, which passed in 1913. And you have to use visions, you have to use visuals to understand what the debasement of the currency actually was. Because I've always had a hard time understanding economics and money and all that. Is it, if I'm handing you a dollar and you hand me something, was it just sort of a transactional, symbolic sort of thing, or did that money ever reach somewhere at the ceiling? And well, I'm going to try and explain it as best I know. But another good one to look up is Ron Paul Silver and Gold on YouTube. It's 40 minutes, but it's educational in a way that I think everybody should watch it. Everybody should watch it to understand that there is this system of finance, and we'll make that the maybe I'm gonna okay. I'll close that.